Loud. All right. Okay, we are live on Facebook and we are live on record. So we're a minute away from actually. Well, I guess we're not. Now we're going to go ahead and go live. So here we go. Hello. I just want to thank you for all coming today. And we are now doing a Life's Co-Pilot panel discussion. We have some guests here with us today. We have some other ones. I'm hoping I know one of them is trying to get here through, fighting through traffic. So that I do know that much. So they'll be popping in later. But today we are really being hosted by five-star residents in Noblesville. Wendy Carl, we were supposed to be sitting in chairs live in that location. We hung out as long as we possibly could to find out if COVID would let us. It is not, so we are once again on Zoom. So just wanted to kind of welcome everybody here. Real quickly, I'm going to do a screen share to kind of talk about what's happening on this, and then we'll get back to introducing everybody here. This is Life's Co-Pilot. And by the way, you can always find out what event is coming up by going here and clicking on events, and hopefully it opens and loads. So basically today we are going to be a senior services expert panel. We have Amber Gerard with Home Care Assistance. We have Doug Isaacs with Edward Jones, James Abner with Remaxability Plus, Matt Albing with Senior Solutions, Renee Anderson, who is driving somewhere between here and Brownsburg with Caring Transitions, Taylor Lund with Select Home Healthcare, Wendy Carl, I hope is here shortly, with five-star residents of Noblesville, and Wesley Young also with Senior Solutions. So let's go back to our audience here, to the things, and let's see what we can do about getting people all lined up here. Wendy, I see you're here. I see it on the screen now. So anyway, Wendy, let's start with you. You are our hostess this evening. We are pretending that we are at your location. So tell us about Five Star and you and all the things that go along with it. Wendy, I see you there. I just don't know if I make sure you're here. So, okay. Well, we'll come back to Wendy. Okay, so let's go to Amber. Amber, why don't you give us kind of who you are and what your company does and kind of give us the scopes of that.
Perfect. I'm Amber Gerard. I'm with Home Care Assistance. We provide non-medical home care, or also called private duty home care. Can be anything as simple as companion care, grocery shopping, errand running, light housekeeping, all the way up to that 24/7 personal care, bed-bound care, things like that. So we service primarily Hamilton County, Northside Marion County, and kind of the rainbow around 465.
All right, thank you very much. So, Doug, why don't you kind of introduce yourself here? So,
all right, can you hear me there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doug Isaacs with Edward Jones. My office is in Westfield, but I work with clients throughout central Indiana, and I go see clients as far away as Crawfordsville or Shelbyville and places like that. So I'm pretty mobile for people that need me to. I'm a certified financial planner. And I work for Edward Jones. Edward Jones is a full-service investment firm, and we focus on investment management, asset management, long-term care, things like that.
Excellent. James.
So I'm James Abner with Remaxability Plus, and realtor there with in the Carmel office. I live in Noblesville. I have a small team. I have 5 agents, pretty much spread out geographically. I have out in Hancock, Henry County, out in Greenfield, Knightstown area. I've got east side and south side. So we can pretty much cover most of the greater Indianapolis area, looking for somebody on the west side. I've been doing this for a while, do a lot of first-time home buyers, and really kind of got a niche when I saw the enjoyment of passing a long-time home onto a first-time home buyer. And so sitting there at a closing table with a first-time home buyer that's buying a home that maybe they even built and they've lived there 30, 40 years was quite an enjoyment. So I actually got my SRES certification, my senior certification. and kind of have that little bit of a niche. I do a lot of sales for estates, people that have unfortunately lost a loved one, or they've moved into assisted care or something like that. So that's kind of how I got involved, but we're full service, but I personally have a specialized in seniors.
Excellent. Thank you. Matt and Wesley, why don't you, since you guys sitting in the same screen, we'll have you guys talk together. How's that?
We're not socially distancing. Not to wear a mask either. And we only have one computer that works well on the Zoom call, so we're sitting here together. So, yeah, so we are Senior Solutions Consulting. We do veterans benefits. We do Medicaid waiver, all the paperwork, all the fun stuff to get benefits going quickly, protect assets. We allow your clients to afford your stuff by getting them benefits. So that's why we partner so well with everybody else is, again, allowing clients to get benefits quickly to afford the in-home care and facility services that they need. And then I'll let Matt talk about all the financial stuff that he can do as well.
We also have an on-staff attorney for legal docs that our clients may need. And then many times those legal docs require a trust. We also manage the assets that go into the trust as well. Also have an association with a relatively large size CPA firm here in town that works with our clients on tax issues. So we're kind of a one-stop shop for everything when it comes to benefit planning for clients, from the planning standpoint, the investment standpoint, and the legal standpoint. So we are essentially a pathway to benefits.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, Renee, you popped up on my screen, so let's just go with you next. So
I'm here. I'm sitting at the side of a highway, so I just had to pull over the van. So as you can see, I'm loaded with all sorts of goodies, so, which brings me to what we do. We are a downsizing and relocations, caring transitions, and we work with seniors, and we help them when they're trying to liquidate their things or move to a smaller space. And we have like over 20 services that we do. We help with packing, unpacking, sorting, organizing. We do an estate sale to liquidate. We will do online auctions. We do clean outs. We pretty much, because people, a lot of times the things that stop seniors from taking that next step to make their lives more healthy and to right size for themselves is that they don't know what to do with all this stuff. They look around and they're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. So we kind of come in, help them make a plan. So we start off with just a free consultation, kind of go in, give them the numbers, let them know what their options are, find out what their goals are, how they can get to those goals, and then we make it happen. So that's what we do.
thank you. So Taylor, I've lost you on the screen, but I know you're there somewhere. So
Hello. My name is Taylor Lund. I'm with Select Home Health. We are a locally owned and operated home health care agency. We have been serving Central Indiana for almost a decade now, and I've been with the company for a little over 6 years. We're owned by clinicians, so we're owned by a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, and a registered nurse, who are also local to this area and have been servicing this area for a long time as well. They are just wonderful people. It's a wonderful company to work for. We take amazing care of our patients and really good care of our staff as well, which is very important. We provide in-home skilled nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, home health aide, and medical social worker. All of these services, again, are provided in-home. Oftentimes, they're covered at 100% by insurance. Which is why you have to qualify for them. Not everyone qualifies for home health. You do have to be homebound, which Medicare defines as, you can take short, infrequent trips outside the home. Typically, it's a taxing effort for you to leave home and you require the assistance of another person or an assistive device, a walker, a wheelchair, a rollator. So if it's tough for you to get out of the home, we can come to you and provide those services to you at home. And again, so another thing to qualify, you have to have a physician's order and you have to be under the care of a physician. So if you haven't seen your primary care doctor in 3 years, we probably need to get you hooked up with someone current, which we're happy to do. We make all of those connections and we're able to kind of line this up to make it as easy as possible. That's pretty much my entire job is lining up patients with resources to make sure that they are as safe and healthy at home as possible. Everyone wants to age in place right now, whether that's at home or in an assisted living. independent living, whatever is best for their situation. We're happy to help them get to where they need to be. If you want to get started in home health, you can either go with your doctor. They have recommendations, I'm sure, or if you have recommendations from a friend, or you don't even know where to start, just do a Google search, do your research. We're happy to make that connection for you, or again, your doctor can write that order as well. And I think that kind of wraps up home health in a nutshell.
Excellent. Well, Wendy, I see that you have phones connection or voice and camera now, so we're in great shape. So you are our hostess today. So we were supposed to be in your lovely facility, but as you can see, we're scattered to the wind. So, but anyway, so would you please tell us about you and your location?
Yes, and my apologies. We sponsored a golf hole at the Westfield Chamber of Commerce golf outing today, and I was on the hole like 15 minutes ago. So still, so I'm like panicking, saying, "You got to get me in! You got to get me in!" So anyway, my apologies for trying to multitask today. So we are a retirement community in the Noblesville area. We're between Westfield and Noblesville. We offer independent living, assisted living, and memory care. Our memory care is actually an award-winning program in the healthcare industry, so we're very proud of that. But we offer many different services. The difference between independent and assisted living is the nursing support that you need. And also, so we have licensed nurses on all 3 shifts in assisted living. And I'm very proud to say that we've been a COVID-free facility. Very exciting time, starting to get the residents out and get them more involved and interactive again, and visiting with their families and things like that. So lots of different services. We also work with Select Home Health to provide therapy services. So that's part of why we asked her to be with us today. So that's 5-star.
Well, great. Well, thank you. So, you also have like cottages, or can you explain those as well? Because a lot of people don't see that comparatively with the other independent, with that part.
Yes, we have independent living garden homes that do have some services. So they provide 1 meal a day. There's an emergency pendant. If there's any issues in the middle of the night, that goes over to our assisted living facility, and we have nurses respond. Different utilities that are included. It's maintenance-free living as far as landscaping, snow removal, care of the home, and all of those sort of things. So many people start with us, and those have certainly been very popular through the latest issues with our health system. And then they receive first priority into our assisted living or memory care as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for pulling us together today. We didn't get to do it when we wanted to for you, but we got to get together. So this was kind of a throwback panel to what we were doing pre-COVID and what have you, where we were bringing people in that were more of a generic, everything that's about senior, services and things like that. We've been more recently focusing on a topic, on hospice, on this or on that. So I'm excited about doing this one again. It's probably been a while, and it's probably about time we do one where we can get more of a general knowledge of what's going on out there. So on that, with that going on, you brought up COVID and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know how you can not bring it up. It's everywhere. We have to figure out what to do every day with how we operate. How is that changing each of your businesses, and what are you finding? I'll start with you, Wendy, since you're on my screen here, but what are you guys having to do differently? What are you doing to make this work? And then I'm going to actually, the next one who wants to pick up, just jump in.
Exactly. The real key is connecting residents with their families. That has been one of the most difficult things. So we are offering sunshine visits, and then the State Board of Health has actually provided for indoor visits for when we move to the colder weather. So that's a good thing. But also one thing that's very unique about our building is that we have outside patios in 90% of our assisted living units. So families are, able to visit. That way, residents have been able to get out and kind of enjoy the sunshine and those sorts of things. So that's been a very positive thing for us. Just me, people have healthcare needs, and unfortunately those things don't stop. So they've chosen to come and stay with us and receive the superior nursing care that we offer.
Well, I'll let you all pick, or I'm going to pick you. So it's whichever you guys want to do. So, James, tell me about what's going on in your world.
My world's crazy. We've not seen a slowdown at all. It just doesn't make any sense. The inventory is as low as it's ever been, and there's no real signs of that changing. And that may be one area that COVID has hit. A lot of people don't want to let, maybe they were planning on putting their house on the market in the spring, but they don't want to let people come through their house. So maybe that is kind of pushing that inventory and keeping it low. But the number of people out there that want to buy, need to move, want to move, has not changed, and it seems to have increased. I would say anything under 300,000 is selling in hours with multiple offers. You get in the 300 to 500 range. It's still very strong. We've done, I tell you, one technology that we've been using over the last few years is virtual tours. Well, I've been doing virtual tours forever, but they were the pictures into a slideshow. Now we do 3D tours where you can actually put yourself in the house and look around. And I thought that technology would be dead in the next year or two. And I think COVID has saved it, because now we do those, and people that maybe don't want to go and put themselves at risk will sit down at a computer and look through this 3D tour and really know they want to buy that house before they go out and actually physically tour it. And some are okay with not physically touring the house, and so I think that's that. We're just taking all the normal precautions. I have all the ability. I have masks. I have hand sanitizers. I have gloves with me at all times, and I will use them to the extent that my client or the house that we're going into has asked us to. I have one client that I wear a mask every time I'm with them, and I have multiples that I don't wear it at all. We just do our social distancing. As you know, I have had it and recovered, so I kind of walk around with a S on my chest and think I'm invincible. But that doesn't mean my client is going to be that comfortable.
James, I think we got into the same party.
Yes, I think so. Or the seller that's looking on their cameras in their house and sees me walking around without a mask on might not feel comfortable. So I have to keep that in mind. But that's kind of, I think, what's going on in our world.
Excellent.
I would echo what James is saying. I have a lot of people who are selling their homes to move into our garden homes, and those are typically selling within the first day of the showing. So Hamilton County has been, things have been moving very quickly.
Wesley, Matt, what's going on in your world with how you've adapted and how your clients are working with you in this?
We haven't slowed down at all. Actually, I think we've gotten busier this year. It's not because of COVID, it's just because of natural aging of our citizenry here in town. One thing it has done is all of our meetings converted to either Zoom meetings or phone calls, March and April, and then May we started seeing clients back in the office. So from this point on, we're no longer driving to facilities to see clients. We won't go to a person's house to see a client. It'll either be in person here now or a Zoom call. And that's really made us a lot more productive, a lot less drive time, and seeing a lot more clients because of that.
Yeah, we've also been able to use technology to fax, email, documents. I can notarize documents via a FaceTime or a Zoom call with a resident in a facility. We do have some issues with facilities where our clients have, broken hearing aids. They can't get out to get them fixed. They can't talk to me on the phone. We can't go visit them. That's difficult. But for the most part, we've adapted, and as have everybody, and been able to use texting and Zooming and emails and faxes and all kind of technology to get things done, and really haven't missed a beat. So,
has your client adapted pretty well to the technology side of it? I mean, we're dealing a lot of times with an older clientele.
well, our clients are the kids normally.
Okay,
So
all
mom's
right.
90, the kids are 60, and they are pretty good on technology because their grandkids have required that they become that way. So, but yeah, things are good.
Okay, good.
And actually, one last thought is the VA and Medicaid are now working from home. So for some reason, they answer the phone much quicker than they ever did when they went into the office. So we're getting things done quicker now that people are at home.
That's wild. I hadn't thought. That's interesting. So yeah, I know that before it's always kind of been this, we'll get to you when we get to you about it.
Yeah. They must not have a hold button on their home phone.
And they don't have a coffee clutch in the back corner, so yeah. Let's see. So Doug, would you like to tell us what's going on and how it's working in your world?
My world's probably a lot like everybody else right now. A lot of things being done by phone and Zoom. Our office is back open to preset appointments, so we can pre-schedule somebody to come in and sit down with us. We can only have one person in the office at a time. We have to allow 30 minutes between appointments for cleaning and sanitation and things like that. My world hasn't slowed down. I mean, at first when the market dipped 34%, clients were pretty nervous. So that had me on the phone a lot, scheduling a lot of reviews, and then picked up a lot of new clients who were a lot of do-it-yourselfers and needed some more help and support, realizing that, when things get tough, they want somebody to hold their hand. But yeah, our office is open up. We opened up July 6th. So we were closed there for quite a while. We're open back up and scheduling appointments. So we're glad about that. But a lot of stuff being done through Zoom, a lot of e-signatures for documents, that type of stuff. So it's going well.
I will tell you, I'm the trustee for my uncle's accounts and dealing with his, and March was pretty terrifying when I saw what falling off the cliff. And then I had just dumb luck. I had just taken money out that he was going to need to survive for a while. And so I just left everything alone. I was like, okay, if I don't sell anything, I didn't lose anything, and
That's
it's
right,
all
yeah.
back. So that was a really nice thing. Yeah. So basically, I just basically quit looking at it for a while. So
if you go into a storm well prepared, you'll come out of the storm well prepared. So
yeah. Well, I just say so. Renee, what's been going on in Caring Transitions world with all this craziness?
Nothing really, as far as in the workload, has not changed. We've been quite busy. Obviously, people still need to move. They still want to liquidate. They still want to get rid of their stuff. The estate sales that we've been having people, we obviously require masks and the hand sanitizer. And it was a little interesting because Aether, who did estate sales and was helped with liquidating people's items, they've completely gone online. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from that saying that they don't like doing online. They liked going to people's homes, and the benefit of going to people's homes, we get rid of all that furniture and all that other big stuff that people don't want to move, and they carry it out instead of you having to try to figure. And you have the people who come there, they take it out that day. You're not doing all the back and forth. So, but with that, as far as with me meeting with the clients and stuff, I have the mask. I pretty much follow their lead, ask what they're comfortable with. When we've done the estate sales, we haven't had any problem with people being very respectful and keeping their distance and going through. Even with when it comes down to doing the moving and stuff, one thing that I have seen is that it kind of changed the way we are moving people into senior communities, obviously with the big holdup and with having people coming in and out. That's starting to lift now, which is kind of nice. But we still haven't been moving people in. We've had a couple that we've moved out, and they've been at the end of the hall. So we've been able to go to the end because you don't want to really do anything with, like I said, if somebody's afraid of it, it's a real fear. So we've been just very respectful, but it hasn't really, to tell you the truth, we never stopped working. When everybody was shut down, we kind of revved up. But besides that, it's been, like I said, it's been pretty consistent, and lots more communication, and pretty much just making sure that everybody's okay with whatever we're doing. And I want to make sure that we're making sure that our clients are staying safe, since the seniors are at the highest risk. And so I don't ever want to. And we've done the taking the temperature. Don't come to work if you're sick or feel bad, or if you've had a cough or you sneezed, or so we've kind of been following all those regular standard procedures that everybody's been going through. So.
I was at one of your sales, and where I bought my Civil War bullets, and then I also bought this old cool 1700s chest here. But anyway, when I was there, I heard one of your regulars talking about the fact that everyone else had kind of quit doing the planned estate sales, and that you guys were like the only ones in town still doing that, and how much they appreciated that. So I thought that was a good thing to hear. So for you, couldn't hurt. Yeah. So anyways. So anyway, Taylor, would you like to talk about what changes that you've been experiencing?
Yeah. At first, it was just like the rest of the world, really, was a big rush to get PPE to make sure that we had everything that we need to keep our clinicians and our patients safe. It was a little rocky in the beginning, but we did find a couple good suppliers that have been really steady throughout this whole thing. So we're completely good to go now, which is good. Something else, you see all this on the news and you see everything. So we had patients calling, probably half of our caseload called and said, I'm sorry, I need to cancel. I don't want anyone coming in my home anymore. Assisted livings, we're starting to close their doors to even us, our providers. Some of them would allow nursing, but wouldn't allow therapy. Which I will say 5-Star allowed us to come in the whole time. And I think that it really shows in their residents that they've stayed healthy and active. They haven't been as, we're seeing a lot of weakness and falls, and you kind of have to weigh that out of, I understand the risk of someone coming into my home, but if you go without, nursing and therapy for weeks and months, you're going to get weaker. What if you fall and break a hip and then you're going out to the hospital? What's your higher risk? Letting our therapist come in full PPE, or having to go out to the hospital? So I think people kind of learn to weigh the risk and rewards of that. And we started picking up again. I would say end of May, we were really, really back on that, moving back up, which was awesome. And now we're busier than we've ever been as a company, which is amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Amber, you're in the same space, but what have you been running into in this?
Yeah, I'd say we've had 3 kind of main changes. One being from our care side, Home Care Assistance offers a very unique program called the Balanced Care Method, which is all focused on a holistic approach to home care. And it was fun for us to get a little bit more innovative and a little bit more creative on especially the mental stimulation and cognitive therapeutic side of things, especially with everyone feeling more isolated and alone. That was something that we really took a focus on, and everything from gift baskets or, increasing hours with our caregivers, anything we could do to really make sure that we kept that quality of care and really focused on the mental stimulation side. From a family side of stuff, we saw a big difference in the number of people calling, just wanting to know what home care was. I'd say 6 months ago, 90% of people were out of the house and they were going to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and they weren't home that 40 hours a week to see that dad wasn't taking his meds at lunch, or seeing, oh, he didn't shower when he told me he did. They got to see more of the things that were happening at home, families quarantining together and caring for each other. And they're picking up more and more of, okay, we're not where we used to be, right? And so as things are opening up and people are going back to work, they're realizing, oh, we do need someone in the home. So we've seen an increase in educational opportunities and new clients coming in, which is great. From a partner standpoint, we offered a new service called Quarantine Care. So all of the assisted living and independent living could still accept all their new move-ins. and we would have someone come in for 24/7 for the first 2 weeks to kind of help with that quarantine, so that their team out on the floors didn't necessarily have to overexpose to a new resident, but that new resident could still move in and experience everything that was offered in their new community. So those are kind of the 3 main things that we kind of got to experience over the past couple months.
Now explain that one again. That one kind of went over my head. You do what for that 2 weeks? You said how much input are you having with the client at that time?
Yeah, so when let's say Mrs. Smith is interested in moving to 5-star, she wants to join their assisted living world. So she would move in, and we would have someone come in for 24/7 for that first 2 weeks, so that the team at 5-star, their nurses or their CNAs that are coming in, they don't necessarily have to interact with that new move-in. They can still continue to interact with the residents that have been there. It just decreases any risk of exposure. And then once that 2 weeks of quarantine is up, then the 5-star team would move back in and care for their new resident. But it gives them kind of that 2-week quarantine window to decrease the risk of exposure to their current residents while still being able to accept new move-ins. Is that better?
Yeah, and then well, I'm so tickled to hear that, because I think one of the panels that you were on with me a while back, we were asking how in the world can we fix this 2-week quarantine. There is this process when someone's moving into a community, and Wendy, I'm sure you can fill in on this. That's probably the most vulnerable stage, where they really need to get integrated, get the social, to feel part of the community, and then we stick them and isolate them, so they can't see family or anybody. So that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, it is actually very exciting, because one of the biggest barriers is that family are uncomfortable that they're not able to help their loved one with that adjustment. So to have the security and the comfort of knowing, that there is a service that's focused 100% on that is very beneficial.
That's very exciting. We just, my uncle is in a community, and because of these lockdowns, you don't get to, we talk to him every night on the phone, but we don't see him, so you don't really know how they're doing. You think you do, and then he ran into a situation where he's very much a social butterfly, and then so then he started going into a little bit more of a depressed mode. Then he quit taking his meds, which then means he got dehydrated, which then means he's in the hospital, which means the spiral.
Right.
And so then coming out of the hospital, he's getting cleaned up, getting ready to come from the hospital. Which the weirdest part was, we could see him more at the hospital than we could before. That was kind of
yeah.
So, but he's coming back, and then he's going to be quarantined, okay, which for 2 weeks, which is the last thing he needed, from a personal standpoint. So I remember reaching out, and I reached out to the ED and asked if we have one in-home care person. Before I met any of y'all, we've had this one gal, and she's my mom's and she's my uncle's, and I love her dearly, so because she keeps me to where I can work, because I get the feedback from her on what's going on, and and it goes from there, and she's family. So I finally said, look, guys, this is not working, because I don't know what's happening inside there behind the door. So we've gotten permission now for her to start going in there and doing, because she's an in-home health and in-home care, she's going in to see him every twice a week. And I'm like, this makes me very much happier, because now I'll know exactly what's going on. I have my eyes and ears inside that door, so. But that's, Taylor, you can weigh into this as well. One of the things that I imagine right now for the home health industry, you probably have more business now than you've ever dealt with, because a lot of people need to be in Wendy's place, but the families are not ready to do that. They're not worried. They're scared to death of that 2 weeks that Amber's fixed for us. But anyway, so tell me more about what you're doing to help the families through this whole process. And both of you guys are in the same space, so.
Sure, absolutely. And we are seeing that a lot. And also when this hit, a lot of families took their loved ones out of skilled nursing facilities that were there long term. So they brought this this family member home thinking, okay, I can do this, I've got this. And then, 2-3 days into it, they're like, oh my gosh, I need more help. So they're calling in everybody. And I know we have a non-medical side too. So we've seen an increase on both sides for the home health, and the non-medical side has been just a massive increase. So and any kind of in-home care that they can get, they're calling for it.
And also, just to kind of share with you, there is regular COVID testing in place now in facilities. Certainly that wasn't the case. So as long as, people coming back from the hospitals or moving in are coming in with COVID testing, so they are not finding the quarantine situations as much as they were. There are certain situations where people are choosing to go out of the building, and then the focus is with the quarantine, whether it's to spend some time with family, or we had an amazing resident who had 100th birthday party. And the choice was, I'm 100 years old. I'm not going to skip my party, and that's completely understandable, so she did make a choice in that particular case to do the quarantine. But with the regular testing of staff and residents, I think that's made a big difference. And I think that's become fairly regular in facilities at this point then.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that too, especially, like you said, if they go out to the hospital. I've seen it where they have to have a negative test at the hospital, and then they come back, and then they have to have a second negative test while in the community. And if they've got those dual negatives, they're usually good to go, which is great news for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was wanting my uncle to get antibodies test while I was there. They wouldn't do it because I think he's the one that gave it to me back in March. So anyway, because he had something for like 3 weeks that was pretty daggone like mine. Yeah. So, but anyway, so I'm kind of like, I think he's good. But anyway, so so Amber, were you wanting to tag in on that one or?
No, I think one thing that I've seen across the board, not only from a company to company standpoint, but also from a client and family standpoint, is everyone has just really upped their amount of communication. And I think that has drastically helped calm nerves of safety of a loved one, or, especially when, if Taylor and I share a client and she's got her team going in and I have my team going in, it helps us communicate, or it's easier if we communicate that we can help share standards and our COVID protocols and their COVID protocols, and are we doing what's best for our client. So one of the things that I've just really been impressed with and really thankful for is how much we've all played in the sandbox well together and communicated with each other and with families and with our clients. It's an extra phone call a day, but it makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. It takes a village, and we've really come together as a community, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, some of the things that are just that are the same, that haven't changed since we've been doing all this stuff. I want to pick on Wesley and Matt for a second. I don't think, I will tell you that before I got into, to the senior world, I was in it as a consumer for 15 years, dealing with in-laws and parents and uncles and what have you. And I thought I knew what I was doing. I knew nothing. Then I started meeting you guys. I'm like, where have you guys been hiding? Why didn't someone tell me to call you to help figure out how to do all this financial stuff? So what would you guys kind of tell us what you can do for people? I mean, I know, people are going to hear bits and pieces. They're going to hear, if you didn't do something 5 years, you don't get to do things, or 3-year look back. So you've got all these different things, and that there's things you can do anyway. There's also that you can help wealth preservations. You can help get them paid for, make things a lot less scary. I will tell you honestly, getting into the senior world and getting to know all you guys, I'm not nearly as afraid of being old as I used to be, because it was this whole scary thing. And now I'm going, oh my God, there's all these great resources. Okay. So, I'm getting closer than all you guys. So, but anyway, but I was going to say, Wesley and Matt, you want to kind of talk about how people can that you can walk people through this process and get that done.
Yeah, I'll take make it. So with VA benefits, and yes, you're right. You know, I always say neighbor Bob the plumber will always try to derail everything that we try to offer to a client because they always give bad advice. But with VA benefits, the benefits $1,911 for a veteran, $1,228 for a surviving spouse, and $2,266 for a couple. But the problem is trying to get it. It's a government program. You can't directly talk with the underwriters. You have to send everything off to Milwaukee. With the recent rule changes, we're up to 45 to 50 pages of submission. And even then, that's not enough. Everything we put on the app, we have to have proof of paperwork with it. And they're looking at tax returns from 2 years ago, which may not be the current situation with your finances. So, you know, they have issues with your home and how many acres you live on. And it's a whole process. But that being said, we're getting it done in, well, we just had one in 6 weeks that got approved. We sent it in 6 weeks ago and the formal application, and it came back approved for the full amount. And it is a tax-free pension that's paid directly to the client to use for whatever they want to use it for in the world of health care. So home health care, assisted living, nursing home, pay family members, anything. So if you try to navigate that yourself, you know, you go to the VA, they'll hand you one piece of paper, and then they'll send you a request for another piece of paper, and then another piece of paper, and another piece of paper. And a year later, you're going to like, this is never going to work. So yes, doing it on your own is nearly impossible. We shake our heads every day at the responses we get from the VA about things we've submitted in what I call purple crayon, third grade easy. We do all the math for them. We send them all the paperwork. We put exhibits. We put notes. We send proof, and they still come back with crazy stuff. So it's a fantastic program. It's great. It pays a lot of bills, a lot of times doubles income, difficult to get. And if you try to do it yourself, it's just impossible. I know a lot of people do their own taxes. That's not easy. This is twice as hard. So it's something that we do to help folks out. And it almost always is a benefit to someone to add money, because money doesn't fix things, but money helps solve a lot of problems, because then we can bring you guys in for home health care, assisted living, or other things that they didn't think they could afford, because most people make, you know, $1,000 less than assisted living cost. And that's a barrier for a marketing person. You can't wave a magic wand and say, well, discount your rate $1,000. You might do it for the first month, but you can't do it for the rest of their life. So whereas we can come in and say, all right, we can add $1,900 to that income, and now all of a sudden they make a little bit more than the monthly cost, and they feel a lot more comfortable about making that decision because their savings isn't at risk. So, you know, we're, like I said earlier, you know, we kind of help your clients afford your stuff. And additionally, we find money. Most 90-year-olds have never stopped to count up their stuff. So when you go adding up all their stuff, they're always about $150,000 less than they actually have when they, you know, what their guess is. So we're usually finding CDs and double bonds and stock certificates, and everybody got MetLife stock or Prudential stock when they went public, but they think those dividends came from their life insurance, and they have no idea they have $18,000 worth of stock that was given to them back in 2000. And cash value of life insurance could be $25,000, and they didn't have any idea it built up so fast. And I mean, it's just all those kind of things. And when we put numbers together, they're almost usually shocked at what they're actually worth, and then what they can actually get and that they can actually qualify for. The VA has increased their asset limits from like 30,000 to 130,000 that people can have. Anybody who has more than that, we can pretty easily protect it. So from the VA standpoint, it's amazing that we can come in and add that benefit for folks who served and their surviving spouses. So if you divorced your spouse, the veteran, you divorce the benefit. But if you are a spouse whose veteran spouse died 30 years ago, you still qualify as long as that veteran served 1 day of active duty during a time of war. It doesn't have to be in the war, just during a time of war anywhere in the world. So it's not a huge requirement to get it. So a lot of the 85, 88, 89-year-olds served in Korea, and a lot of the 60, 65, 70-year-olds served in Vietnam. So we're kind of seeing kind of an influx of quite a few of those folks. And then I'll let Matt chat about Medicaid.
So a lot of folks come in the office wanting VA benefits because they're running short on money for assisted living or free home care. And then we quickly segue over to waiver, because waiver is for is Medicaid for assisted living. So typically the VA benefits is an entree to the other benefit world of waiver and also nursing home Medicaid. So we've seen a big influx of that because that's the best deal going on in Indiana right now for a $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month widow. We can get them on waiver for $783 a month. And we're filling up places left and right with waiver residents. And more facilities are opening up waiver beds for them. So that's been a boom for us and also for anybody that lives here in Indiana. Then of course, the next logical progression is after they've outgrown assisted living and their care dictates they need full-time skilled care, we segue over into nursing home Medicaid. But we've done the heavy lifting at the beginning. If we're doing VA benefits as far as moving money around, doing some gifting, protecting assets, getting them ready for Medicaid waiver or nursing home Medicaid in the future. So we've done all that heavy lifting before. So the transition from IL to AL, or actually from home health care to IL to AL to nursing home care is very seamless. So we handle all aspects of that planning for them from the very beginning.
And one other point is, in most cases, we can get the VA benefit and Medicaid waiver. I know a lot of people love to tell clients, "Oh, you can't get VA benefits if you're on Medicaid." Well, if you're on Medicaid waiver, you can get and keep the aid and attendance benefit. So we can not only double your income, but again, like Matt said, knock your cost down to $783 for a studio, or $1,000 to $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom, all costs covered in an assisted living. So it's like Matt said, it's a bargain. And
do you use like a Miller's Trust to do that?
We only use a Miller's Trust is only used when someone's gross income is over about $2,350 a month. It's a way that Medicaid says you don't qualify for Medicaid if you make more than $2,349 a month. However, they tell us in the very next breath, but if you go ahead and put some money in another checking account and use that for your healthcare costs, then we'll welcome you right in anyway. So it's a very unnecessary rule that helps no one, that only causes us to do more work. But at the end of the day,
Well, I was thinking with the $1,911 or whatever it is for the VA, and then you have Social Security, you're going to be over that $2,300.
That is true. It'll kick you over, but I mean, again, you'll get to keep more of that money to spend on yourself. So most of our clients who are on waiver get to keep anywhere from $1,000 to $1,600 a month to spend on whatever they want for themselves. So you go from I can't afford assisted living to how am I going to spend $1,500 in a month to stay under my $2,000 limit. So yeah, and the Miller's Trust is one of those things that's very misunderstood and difficult, and banks like to tell you they're going to do it their way. it's
okay. I gotta jump in here for a second, because I will tell you, there's so many people out there that don't even know about the benefits that you can get. And there is so much to know, as you can just hear from listening to them. There's so many things, and they just meander through it and do it like it's yesterday. And it's amazing. And I've also watched them actually get in the car and go to get somebody to a place they need to get the paperwork. They will go collect it. They've done so amazing office, and they do wonderful work. So it's always nice to see. Can't tell you how many people I've had who have used them and been so happy, but also have not used them and heard about them after and have been devastated because they realize all the money that they lost because they didn't even know they would qualify for the benefit. And they make it so much more efficient, because you lose so much money when you're not collecting the money because you can't go back. But the sooner you start, the sooner you get done. The efficiency that they do pays for itself already. So it's just like I said, they know their stuff. Let's put it that way. So just a little kudos there.
Thank you, Renee. We need to hire you to clean out my son's room, by the way.
Yeah. No, I want him to come work for me. He was working for me. He's a great worker. I need to get him back.
We need a professional.
Wes, I was going to say, I definitely get it, because I the first time I did VA for my in-laws, for my father-in-law, 18 months of going back and forth, getting dinged and sending a piece of paper back, and I was so frustrated and so angry that I ended up calling. My son was campaign manager for Congressman Dan Burton. I called him and had it within 24 hours. They're going, you shouldn't need to know a congressman to get through this stupid VA thing. They need to know you guys, is what it comes down to. So,
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you for that ringing endorsement.
Yes. So, Renee, since you jumped in there, tell us about I know that from my own experiences, being the only sibling that stayed home, that means I cleaned out my in-laws' place, my parents' place, my uncle's place, and how overwhelmed. And I'm a DIY. I think I'm frugal. My wife says I'm cheap, so I'm not really sure where that falls into play, because it just kills me to spend money, something I can do. But then when you start thinking about the hours and, my in-laws, it took us 18 months of driving back and forth to their house to get it done. My parents was 60 days. Tell us what you can do for people and get this stuff off their plates so they can be family rather than, movers and worker bees.
Well, the thing that's great, the thing that I keep seeing over and over and over again is, and just like anybody, when you're going and trying to clean out, even if you just had a room that you're picking out, it takes twice as long because you look at everything, you have a memory attached to it, and you think about it all the time, and you want to hug it, love it, and think about it and talk about it. And so that takes time. We go in and we have a team of people who are background checked, W-2, and when we're going in there, we're going in and we're sorting and going through everything to make sure that they're not missing anything, but we don't have that mental attachment, that emotional attachment that comes where it slows the whole process down. So we'll look through and we'll go through and we've found, deeds, we found titles, we found keys, we found jewelry. We just did a gentleman's house who he had lost his mother in December. He lost his wife in February, and he has 2 homes. They're very close together, and his mother collected everything. And so he's gone, and also he lost his cat too. Go figure. So the poor guy, and he has no kids, he has no family, and he doesn't really need the money, but he has attachment to all these things. So, but the good thing is he's got a great community, a small neighborhood he's around. But when we were going through, we're trying to get him. And so he's been trying to do this for a while. His wife was on hospice. He couldn't do it because his mom's house, he was trying to sell and liquidate his mother's home that was down the street. But his wife was on hospice. So he was trying to do that. And so we kind of put the brakes on that and waited until after. And he still had been trying to empty it out for already a year and a half before that, because they were trying to before his mom even passed, they were trying to help him get it done, and they just couldn't do it. And when we went in there, we realized why, because there's a lot of stuff. But right now, today we're leaving, and we started this 3 weeks ago, and it took 3 weeks only because we did 2 rounds of sales because there was that much stuff. And he ended up coming out ahead. He's going to get a huge fat check at the end. And sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. But the efficiency and the timing, and now he's going to be renting out the house and has some people coming in, and they're people who are friends of his, so he's going to have that camaraderie and some people to come share in his time. But we take all of the hazardous waste stuff, we take that to where it needs to go. We did a sale at his house. We literally took all the stuff that he wanted and put it, he literally took the things that were important and near and dear to his heart. We have them go through and make sure that they're picking out the things that are important to them. They take that, and then everything else we just liquidate, and it's efficient. So as I said, it's been 3 weeks. We just finished the clean out. That's why I'm sitting in this van with all this stuff in the back of my car, because we're finishing up that last little round of stuff that needs to go and be distributed and donated. And like I said, and he's very thankful and very appreciative, and it just makes the process a lot easier. One of the things I always tell people is if you love something so much and you want to hold on to it, just take a picture of it, because you get the same emotion. And the people really do, they get that. It's funny how that's kind of a clicking moment where you're like, yeah, I guess I'm not going to ever use it again, so I don't need it. So that's part of our process is holding their hands and getting them through that process where they're just willing to say, let go and surrender and say, okay, we'll let you take care of this and get this down so we can, get rid of things we're not going to use and liquidate so we can use that money for other things that we want to do. So it's very nice.
And I
Very
think the
good.
other way that Caring Transitions is kind of the unsung hero. Sometimes it's necessary for a loved one to downsize. And especially for someone with dementia, changing environment can be very challenging and actually cause them to decline. And so I know that you guys have taken extra efforts to take pictures of where furniture is located so that when they move into their new home, the furniture is in the same exact place. And so that transition downsizing is a lot smoother and actually a lot more helpful to their health. So I think that's one way that you guys have kind of been really helpful. The family's already dealing with the emotions of having to move a loved one and the panic of how are they going to react and the family politics involved with all of that. So it is definitely worth the cost of having someone set up the home and have it be cleaned and the furniture in the same spot. And it's just much smoother, and you guys do a great job with that too. So
Thank you. We do appreciate it. We love having, and like I said, there's always a lot of family dynamics that come along with transitioning, which is nice. When I feel like I hope that we're giving that support to them, saying you're not the only. I mean, because really we see the same repeat transition, or I mean, like those like I guess when you're holding back and you just, the fear that comes in from people, and we take a lot of that. We like to try to relieve some of that stress and let them know that that's normal. And this is what you go through, and how to handle that the best way that they can, so that they're not feeling like they're being thrown to the wolves and we're just dumping their stuff. So it's been really nice to see when we have had those success stories, when people are excited when they go in and they don't have that fear walking into their room that's been set up for them because they feel like it's home. So yeah.
Yeah, we use Renee a lot and her company, and we even threw her a hoarder house, which she was a trooper about. She does a great job.
That was a lot of stuff.
That's
probably the winner chicken dinner on the most stuff I've ever seen. So
she does a great job.
Oh, thank you.
James, I was going to pick on you for a second. You do some stuff as an SRES, Senior Real Estate Specialist. Explain some of the things that really you find in there. And you told a story in another panel one time that I absolutely loved about how you help people get more revenue by bringing in or more value for their property by bringing in a hard money investor on making it a flip almost. So
yeah. So the SRES, I think for me, the thing it did for me the most was help me to be maybe more politically correct in this space. Things you say and things you don't say, different ways of phrasing things, to where when I'm talking to an older person that's giving up all of their stuff, they're giving up the independence, they're giving up things, all the things Renee was talking about that they've seen on that shelf for the last 30 years. It means little to nothing to me, but it means everything to them. So I think it gave me a little better perspective of how to handle that. I mean, I've dealt with it with my mom, with my grandmother. I'm going through it right now with my mother-in-law, and just being able to help handle those situations maybe a little bit better. I probably could always even get better, but I think it's helped set that frame of mind. What you're talking about there is my son and I, we flip a lot of houses. And we've found a nice little niche here where we run into situations where somebody is going, either someone has passed or someone is going into assisted care. I went and looked at a house on Monday in Greenfield, and mom just moved into an assisted living situation of some sort, met the family over there. And if they did nothing and just finished cleaning it out and put it on the market, this house is probably worth 110. If they can spend $15,000 to $20,000, I can get them 165. 160, 165. A lot of times they don't have the money to do that. So with our investment company, we're in position to come in and put that $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 into the house. I've got all the contractors. We completely renovate it. And then it's one of those houses that sells on the first day with multiple offers for top dollar. An agent in our office called us, my son, actually, I think she reached out to my son first down in Whiteland recently. The family didn't have the money. The family didn't want it. They just wanted to wash their hands of it. Dad had passed. They did not really even want to see the house renovated, but they just needed a quick exit. And they called me up and said, this is what we need to get out of it. This is what we want. We were able to give it to them. It was a little bit more than what the house was worth in its current condition, but we were able to turn around and renovate it and make a profit on it. So that's been a lot of fun. And sometimes they do want to come back and see it. And that's where it's really cool. is when the family sees it, because I'll friend them on Facebook or whatnot. They'll see me doing a Facebook Live during the renovation, or they'll see this for sale sign and I'll get a text message, hey, can we come see it? We did one on the east side and all the neighbors came to the open house and told us just memories of learning pottery in the basement. The lady that used to live there was a teacher, and she taught the entire neighborhood how to do pottery and whatnot in the basement. And we had completely redone it and finished that basement. So it's a lot of fun. We take something old that is maybe not in the best of shape and renovate it, but it's really cool when either we confront the money for the family to do it and then just take, you know, our money back plus small profit, and then we get the sale, we get to list the house for them. But this one in Greenfield's got a perfect example, $110,000, $115,000 house. They're in about 4 weeks, we'll be able to turn that house around and I'll sell it in a day for them for $165,000. And all that money goes to mom, you know, because she's still kicking, she's doing well. She's, I mean, she wants to come back and look. She'll probably be supervising me, but it'll be fun. But she's, you know, she's going to get to realize the full benefit of that house.
Excellent. Well, Doug, for us to have some money, we need to talk to you about how to go about putting some money aside so we can have some of this money for Wes to figure out where to find and everybody else here. So, Doug, why don't you kind of tell us about what you do with the seniors to kind of help them get through this whole process?
Yeah. So, you know, as a certified financial planner, I'm always looking at things, especially expenses like home health or assisted living or independent living or senior or, you know, skilled care, looking at those as cost or expenses. And so two biggest ways to deal with expenses are one, to reduce them. So the gentleman that can find money through the VA, that can be a great way to do that by reducing expenses or having more income to cover those expenses. I also obviously try to squeeze more income out of assets. And then another thing that I try to do, and it's probably for, you know, 60, 65, 70-year-olds, is insure against the risk of needing care at some point through offering traditional long-term care, or, you know, new hybrid type policies, or even life insurance policies that provide riders. So when I think about the cost that is in-home care all the way up to skilled care or memory care, it's expensive. And I always want to try to preserve assets to pass on to the next generation. And most of my clients want to do that as well. So I'm always trying to insure against that risk, find ways to reduce expenses and generate more incomes for them.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Well, guys, it's I can't believe it's an hour again, but I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share real quick and come about upcoming events that we have coming up. Again, you can go to Life's Copilot at any time and go to events. And by the way, under resources here, I noticed that we have a lot of people in here that, just like everybody else, we have a tendency to speak in acronyms and stuff. So when you heard different ones using those, you can actually go in there now later on and find out what they actually said. So anyway, so we have the senior. I just screwed something up here. What did I do to my thing? Okay, here we go. Tonight's one, the next one coming up. One of our members with Life's Copilot is Joy's House. It's an adult day, and they are having a virtual town hall tomorrow morning. You can go in here and click on this link and watch the virtual town hall. So on caregiving, we have another one that we're doing on the 22nd at 6 o'clock. And it's going to be geriatric care managers. They're kind of like general contractors, that they're the ones that negotiate with all the people on this panel to help get people in where they need to be. What's the difference between home care and home health care? I guess, Taylor, I could just have you come in and do one by yourself, but we have a bunch of people on here for that one since you guys do both there. Senior living today, it's not what it used to be. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of these communities, but if you haven't, they are pretty remarkable. So anyway, you can come into that anytime and see what's the upcoming events coming up, and we look forward to seeing you. This video is being recorded. I will get a copy of it to each one of you panelists to use as you like. I also, it's on Life's Co-Pilot's Facebook page, and it's going to be on our website probably in the next couple days. So anyway, thank you all for coming. Anything that you guys have to say before we depart? Anybody got one last thing you want to get out? Well, then let's call it a night. See you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Jen. Bye-bye.